that we'd like you all to participate in. So it's a Mentimeter link, and the question is, what do you know about decent work and economic growth? So I'm just popping the link in the chat, and all you have to do is click on it and you'll be navigated towards it. So you'll be asked to submit five words, a maximum of 5 words in relevance to decent work and the economy. And so please do so. So the first one we have is growth. Yes, definitely. SDG 8 is all about focusing on economic growth and ensuring that all of the countries have, okay, we have quite a lot of more. So based on salary, yes, definitely. Some people don't get enough. I think that cut off maybe. Yes, definitely. Good incomes definitely contribute towards the economy of a country. Resources, quality, production, all of these are amazing answers.
Feel free to keep submitting your answers. You can submit up to 5 words.
So we have good conditions, which is very much in relation to the decent work aspect of it, as well as good pay, better environments, good work hours, better economy, production, good incomes. All of these relate to the SDG that we'll be talking about today. So this is really, it's amazing to see the responses here. So I think now we can move on since we've got quite a few responses. So now we'll be introducing ourselves. So my name is Teresa. I go by the pronouns she/her. I'm 14 years old and I'm currently residing in Al Wakra, Qatar, and I'm studying in year 10. I belong from Uttar Pradesh, India, and now Maria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that introduction, Tanisha. Hi, everyone. My name is María Teresa. I also go by the pronouns she, her. I'm 17 and I come from Spain. It's great to be here with all of you.
So in today's workshop, we'll be focusing on SDG 8 and what has COVID-19 changed. So we'll be starting off with a quick introduction of this issue, followed by pandemic relevancy, more about UNDP, green economy, sustainable tourism. What has the pandemic changed for you? 100K Deeds challenge. What can you do to contribute to the solution? And finally, we'll be having a Q&A session.
Okay, so now let's get started. Firstly, let's look at the actual definition of the economy. So the economy is defined by most dictionaries as a social domain that emphasizes the practices, discourses, and material expressions associated with the production, use, and management of resources.
So the Sustainable Development Goals. Just in case, if you're not aware, these are the SDGs, also known as the Global Goals, and were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 as a universal call to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people globally enjoy peace and prosperity. All of these are interdependent and interconnected. That means that outcome in one SDG area will affect the results in others. And so today we'll be focusing on SDG 8, which is decent work and economic growth. So now we have another icebreaker. So the question is, what is your favorite SDG? You can give in a maximum of 2 SDGs if you'd like. And so please enter this into the Zoom chat. Personally, my favorite SDG has to be SDG 13 climate action and SDG 15 life on land, since I'm quite into both of the issues and helping solve them to quite some extent in my local community.
Well, now I feel like I should share mine. My favorite SDG is 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, because I just think that the rule of law is vital in order to be able to achieve change and to be able to make the world a better place. Okay, so Maria says no poverty. And Manav has chipped in saying SDG 13, climate action. Saniya likes SDG 5, gender equality, and Sarah, poverty, no poverty, and quality education. Christine also says SDG 4. We'd love to hear from all of you. Elizabeth says SDG 5. Vinashvi says gender equality and quality education, and Vishal says SDG 13. Jomia also likes no poverty, and Sevni is a fan of gender equality.
Yeah, so it's amazing to see the variety of responses we have. A lot of people really prefer gender equality, no poverty, and climate action, which is great because all of the SDGs are interconnected, which is why, and we'll be discussing so many aspects of climate action today through sustainability and more. Let's move ahead.
So now we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth on SDG 8. So what is SDG 8? SDG 8 is promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Now, all the SDGs have different targets. In this case, SDG 8 has 12 and 17 indicators. The indicators are different metrics by which the world will track whether SDG 8 has been achieved or not by 2030. Now that we know what's SDG 8, let's have a little look at the different targets. So on the screen, you can see the first 6 targets related to SDG 8, which is decent work and economic growth. Let's all have a little quick look just for reference. And now, Tanisha, if you could move to the next. And on the screen now are the last 6 targets related to SDG 8. Okay, so now that we've actually looked at the context of SDG 8, we're going to be moving on to the next part of the presentation, which is what has actually changed? What has the COVID-19 pandemic changed worldwide? So at the end of 2020, the United Nations actually released an infographic on the effect the pandemic has had on the global economy and the progress made related to SDG 8. In this part of the presentation, what we're going to do is we'll be discussing what has actually happened in economic terms during the pandemic and what the United Nations would like to see changed. On the screen is the infographic and the SDG 8 logo. Okay, so as you can see now, on the screen is a graph that was developed by the United Nations, and it represents the overall progress made worldwide on SDG 8 now that the decade of action is starting. Each of the different boxes represents a geographical location, which is each of the different continents. As we can see, looking at all the different boxes, most of the continents have not made enough progress to sustain either per capita economic growth or achieve full employment in order to fulfill the 2030 agenda. These two metrics, sustain per capita economic growth and achieve full employment, are the two main metrics that the UN is using to measure progress on inclusive and sustainable economic growth. So, as we've seen in the graphs before, progress in SDG aids in most of the world has gone backwards as a result of the pandemic. This is quite understandable, seeing that the pandemic has been a dual health and economic crisis. It's pretty safe to assume that this SDG has been greatly affected by COVID-19. And as the think tank which works in favor of the 2030 agenda, the International Institute for Sustainable Development states COVID-19 has led to the first rise in extreme poverty in a generation. So, if you're wondering what extreme poverty actually means, it is defined by the international community as living with less than $1.90 a day, measured in 2011 international prices. So, according to the latest studies, this would be equivalent to $2.12 in 2018. The infographic, which you can see on the right hand of the screen, was developed by the UN, and it talks about the economic challenges caused by the pandemic. Throughout the next part of the presentation, we're going to be focusing on three different areas, which are unemployment, tourism, and then the amount of youth not working, studying, or in training. Firstly, we're going to look at unemployment and its relation to the pandemic. So, unemployment has been one of the main economic problems which has been caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. As a result of the crisis, the unemployment rate has grown in every single continent. The geographic areas were the most affected by unemployment were the Latin American and Caribbean region, as well as the Europe and North America region, because their unemployment rates grew by over 2 percentage points, which were the biggest increases worldwide. We're going to break those statistics down into what happened in each of the continents. So, specifically, the unemployment rate in North Africa and Western Asia has grown by 1.1%. You'll be able to see the data on the graphs. The unemployment rate in Latin America and the Caribbean has grown 2.3%. Europe and North America's unemployment rate has grown by 2%, while Central and Southern Asia's unemployment rate has grown by 1.5%. The rate in sub-Saharan Africa has grown by 0.3%, and Australia and New Zealand has grown 1.3%. At the same time, Eastern and Southern Eastern Asia unemployment rates have grown 0.4%, which is the same rate as Oceania, with also 0.4%. What this means worldwide is that the world unemployment rate stands at about 6.5%, which means almost a 1 percentage point increase from 5.4% in 2019. Let's look at what these percentage points mean in terms of millions of full-time jobs. Overall, 220 million people are unemployed after losing their jobs during 2020, and the pandemic has been. Let's go back to the previous. Yeah, this perfect. This is the graph. Um, the pandemic has been especially harsh on young people who already have an unemployment rate 3 times higher than adults. Um, Additionally, the women unemployment rate stands at 5%, which is almost 2% more than men, which we are going to be discussing more in the next slides. Here on the screen is the graph collating the unemployment rates and the comparison between 2019 and 2020 again, so that we can take a look. As you can see, they've been divided by continent, and at the very bottom is the world unemployment rate in 2019 and 2020. For the next slides, we're going to be discussing international tourism. So as it stands, 2020 has been the worst year for international tourism on record since the UN started to collate these figures. Overall, before the pandemic hit, international tourism represented 10.4% of global GDP, which meant it employed millions of people. Um, in 2019, the travel and hospitality sectors were directly or indirectly responsible for 1 in 4 new jobs created in the whole world. So the problem was that when measures were implemented to curb the spread of COVID, there was a drop in between 60 and 80% in tourism, which had the direct consequence of 62 million jobs being lost around the world. As a direct result of the pandemic, most countries, as you all know, decided to close their borders and limit gatherings. So, tourism and other industries, most notably the hospitality sector, were forced to shut down. So, what this means, according to United Nations, is that the territories which are most affected are those that rely heavily on tourism, most notably Europe and Asia, as well as small island developing states. Sorry. The graph, which you can see on the slide, comes directly from the United Nations World Trade Organization, and it represents the decrease in tourism relative to 2019 from January to March 2020. As you can see in the different bar charts, 2020 is the dark blue bar. All regions in the world experienced a decrease in tourism in 2020, while they all had a positive increase in 2019. Um, yep, all of this data once again comes from the UN and the World Travel Association. So you can check out their websites for more information. Here is here's the graph, which was on the previous slide again, so that you can see it more closely. Okay, now we're going to be moving on to another of the aspects which COVID-19 has negatively affected. This graph, which you can see on the screen, shows the proportion of youth of either sex, so masculine or feminine, who are neither in education, employment, nor training around the world. We're going to be talking about the context in which youth unemployment was already happening. So, young people, as we've said previously, are 3 times more likely than older people not to have a job. And as we can see from looking at the different bar charts, young women are more likely than young men to be affected by the issue of unemployment. According to some official United Nations figures, young women are almost twice as likely to be unemployed, not in education nor in training, than men. Globally, this means that 1 in 10 young people are affected by not having an education or not being in training or employment. And just once again, in 70% of the countries which are compiling this economic data, women are more likely than men to be part of this group. Let's see if we can see the graph more closely here. As you can see, the dark pink bars represent young men, the light pink bars represent young women, and the small squares are the total, so the both figures averaged out. And at the very end, you should be able to see the world rates.
So now we're going to be talking about UNDP, which is the United Nations Development Program, which focuses on helping nations and international communities to develop their economy through strategic proposals, as well as many plans that form this program. So the UNDP strategic plan, which was made during 2018 to 2021, has been designed to be resolutive to different contexts, such as eradicating poverty, structural transformations, and building resilience for all of the communities, especially the ones hardly hit by COVID-19. So now we'll be talking about what the economic focus will now be on. Well, one of the major aspects is green economy. And a green economy is basically an economy which aims at reducing the environmental risks and ecological scarcities and strikes for sustainable development without putting our environment at hard risk. And conserving our environment is key to support sustainable economic growth, as the natural environment plays an important role in supporting economic addition. It contributes directly by providing resources and raw materials, such as water, timber, and minerals, that are required as inputs for the production of these goods and services. And it also contributes indirectly through services provided by ecosystems, including carbon sequestration, water purification, managing flood risks, and nutrient recycling. So as we can see on the image on the right, that sustainable development and economic growth is all about ensuring that greenhouse gas emissions for that specific company or country drop to net zero or at least reduced by 0.5%, plus resource efficiency, which means that it's not causing a lot of deforestation or a lot of harm to our environment, plus social inclusivity, which basically means including the people of that community in whatever the governments or the country is focusing on. So here is a small infographic from the United Nations website. So some of the challenges that the world faces at this point after COVID-19 include unemployment, where half of the world's population still live on $2 per day, which again relates to decent work and ensuring that living and working conditions for these workers, especially in LDCs, develop more and really improve over the years to achieve SDG, decent work and economic growth. And some of the solutions that the UN has come up with and is trying to promote as much as they can include creating green jobs and ensuring that the conditions for these workers really improve. Furthermore, promoting green growth and ensuring that unemployed people, especially due to COVID-19, get decent opportunities for decent work. So now we'll be talking about another major aspect of green economy, which is sustainable tourism. So the World Tourism Organization specifically describes sustainable tourism as tourism that takes full account of its future and current economic, social, and environmental impacts, while also addressing the needs of the industry, the visitors, the environment, and the hosting communities. So in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as 2030 devise and implement policies to promote sustainable tourism, which creates jobs and promotes local culture and products. So the part of sustainable tourism is also highlighted in SDG target 12.b, which aims to develop and implement rules to monitor sustainable development impacts and also create jobs and promotes local culture. It also, one of the other targets is also to help small island developing states and least developed countries to improve their economic benefits through ecotourism, such as many countries in the so hello everyone, I think I just cut out for a minute. So let me just reshare my screen. So yes, I was talking about sustainable tourism, which which specifically for small island developing states and LEDCs. One of the main targets that is devised by the United Nations is to increase the economic benefits of sustainable tourism for these countries. For instance, in some of the African regions where poverty is at its most extreme, especially due to COVID-19, ecotourism is being taken as a tool to improve the economic growth of the country and ensure that people are more employed.
So now in this part of the presentation, we'd actually like to hear from you. What has the pandemic changed for you? Would you like to share your experiences? If you'd like to, please raise your hand using the raise your hand function, or say in the chat that you'd like to participate, so that it kind of goes a bit more in a more orderly fashion. Okay, so Maria, you said that you'd like to talk. Go ahead, unmute yourself and feel free to let us know.
Okay, hi everyone. My name's Maria. I'm from England and I'm 14 and I'm a classmate with Tanisha in Qatar. And the pandemic definitely changed a lot for me. Mainly it changed... I'm so sorry, my sister's being so rude. Sorry, so the pandemic changed it, definitely my mental health a bit, because I was locked inside and I started to kind of feel really bad. Like I just felt like COVID, it really scared me. I don't know if anybody else felt like that, but for me. And it also, and my dad, because he is a doctor and he had to work so much longer and it was really stressful for my family. So, and it definitely affected school. We had to do online and things. And yeah, I think that was it. So thank you, and I'm sorry for the interruption.
No worries at all. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences, Maria. Maybe let's have Christine go next. I've seen that you've raised your hand, so feel free to unmute yourself and share your stories.
Okay, hi everyone. Sorry, there might be some background noise because I'm at the airport, but I'd say the pandemic has really changed in so many ways. For example, the past year I was remote the entire year because of COVID. Since I go to a boarding school in the US, whereas I'm based in Hong Kong. So this was definitely, like Maria pointed out earlier, took a big toll on my mental health. And I think a lot of my classmates and friends are affected by that as well. I'd say in a positive way, the pandemic has given me the opportunity to explore more of my passions and hobbies by giving me, more free time, which is why I was able to join the 100 KDs challenge. And I think that has really been made a really nice impact in my life, where I've been able to meet a lot of new people and carry out, goodwill during a pandemic.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Christine. It was great to hear from you. Now, maybe Sophia, would you like to go next?
Hi, yes. So, hi, I'm Sophia, and I think that we all can relate to school, and I think obviously a lot of people like online and like remotely doing school, but also I used to like train swimming for like 6 times a week and do competitions, and now obviously like with lockdowns and pools closing, I couldn't do that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think most people would be able to relate to that the same way they would be able to relate to Christine and to Maria with what they've shared for school. Thank you very much for that, Sophia. Thank you for sharing your story. Vivian, would you like to go next?
Hi, my name is Vivian and I'm from England, and the pandemic definitely changed a lot for me in terms of just like mental health and like body image issues, because before I was doing a lot of sports like netball, basketball, handball all the time, but then since it stopped I wasn't doing things that I enjoyed, and I think it just yeah, like when you like put on weight and things like that, and it has an effect on like how you view yourself. And but then at the same time, the pandemic let me like get to do new things, like going on Zoom calls and like making my own projects and things like that.
Okay, thank you for sharing that part, Vivian, and I'm glad you were able to find new things to enjoy. Sarah, would you like to share your story next?
Okay, so thank you. I will share my personal experience. Through the pandemic, I just noticed that I am like so passionate about many things, like psychology, especially mental health, astronomy, and computer science. And I also just learned how can I manage my time, and I deleted like many social media platforms, especially Instagram and TikTok, because I noticed that like they took most of my time, and I didn't do through my holiday many things like useful things. So like a lot of things in my life just changed, and I think now I'm like more like how to say it, more oh my god, cultural girl, and I am also outgoing girl now more than I was before the pandemic, and that's all. Sorry, because I am a little bit confused.
Oh, no. Thank you for sharing, Sarah. It's great that you were also able to find new passions like Christine. Now, Elizabeth, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm from Mexico. I'm Elizabeth, and I think I had time to improve myself and inform myself and learn about a lot of things. My parents lost the job, so we've been through a lot, but I think it's important to look on the bright side of things. Thanks.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Elizabeth. And your positive outlook is great. Now, Kamal says that she was able to spend more time with her family during the pandemic, which is a plus point for her. That's lovely to hear, Kamal. And Vishal also says that they were able to save time from having physical meetings and that there is no need for business trips now. Yeah, that's a very fair point. Perhaps that is something that will change in our economy in the future. So, which really ties it into SDG 8. Okay, so I don't see anybody else with their hands raised. So I assume that nobody wants to say anything else, which I guess means that we can move on to the next part of our presentation. Thank you very much, everyone, for sharing your stories.
Yes, so again, thank you very much for sharing all of your different experiences about what the pandemic has changed for you. So now we'll be moving on to discussing more about the 100K Deeds Challenge, which is a youth-driven initiative run by MUN Impact, which is the nonprofit organization that is running this global summit. It was launched in 2017, and the aim of this specific challenge is to raise awareness about the UN Sustainable Development Goals for aspiring young people and change makers, and give them the platform to take actions at any level at all. And so I will just put the link in the chat for the 100K Deeds Challenge website.
Everybody, you will be able to find the information that Tanisha was talking about on the chat. And Manav has also posted all the details for our social media. So please feel free to check that out.
So now we'll be discussing more about how can you take part in this amazing challenge. So the first step is to get involved through the Get Involved tab on our website, 100kdeeds.org, and then register through the registration forms, which we have on our website in more than 30 languages apart from English. And then you can download the toolkit from the same website. You can navigate your way. It's a super navigable website to work with. Then the next step is to submit your deed. And then again, you can view some example deeds just in case you're not sure about which kind of deeds you want to perform, especially in the pandemic. Then the next step is to register for the challenge again and join our mailing list to get regular updates about all of our other initiatives and about MUN Impact. And the last step is the most enticing and exciting one, which is to see all of your deeds appear on a global map, which we have made through our collaboration with ESRI. And as you can see on the left, on the right, this is a map which showcases all of the deeds done for the SDGs till now. And so far we have around 6,000 deeds accomplished. So now we'll be discussing a bit more about deeds that you can perform to achieve SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. So a few of these include supporting small and local businesses rather than large MNCs and TNCs, which usually exploit their workers. In LEDC, some of these companies. Furthermore, byproducts made by self-help groups run by women, and again, this promotes gender equality, as well as SDG 11 sustainable cities and communities, since you're buying local products rather than imported products. Furthermore, you can run digital campaigns on SDG 8, similar to one that we're doing right now. You can support entrepreneurs with innovative ideas and present workshops on the basics of SDGs to educate people about them and to help them take action on a grassroots level.
Thank you for that, Tanisha. Now we're going to have a look at several different deeds that have been accomplished related to the different SDGs. So let's start with one related to SDG 8, which is decent work and economic growth, and what we're talking about. So somebody wrote, to help local businesses on November 19th, 2020, I ordered a laptop sleeve that is made out of recycled materials. This was actually Tanisha who submitted this deed, and she wrote, our deed was an introductory video we made for our SDG Hub 13 to illuminate the intersectionality of SDG 13 climate action and the 16 other SDGs. We worked with people from around the world to record a short clip to raise awareness about the importance of climate action. And now the final deed that we're going to be talking about today is, as India is currently struggling with the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, all students from Brain's Edu World got together to virtually thank all frontline workers or superheroes for their selfless work. All students made hearts and wrote a message of thanks to the frontline workers and of hope and cheer for the rest of the world. We created a wall of thanks, a compilation of all these hearts to spread a little positivity and emphasize the importance of the work being done by all essential workers. So, as we've seen here on the screen, it's possible for everybody and for everyone and anyone to try and make a difference. And you can be interested in anything. There's going to be an SDG for you, and you'll obviously be able to gauge your interest to achieve something positive. So if you'd like to read more about other people's experiences, please visit the website, which Manav, the admin, has shared on the chat, www.100kdeeds.org.
So now we'd like you all to answer one last question, which is just to state any deeds that you would like to perform for SDG 8 based on our presentation and the example deeds that we gave. And this could be done just by typing in your answer in the Zoom chat. So we have one deed from Komal, which is presenting workshops to spread awareness. Again, this is an excellent deed because obviously a lot of people aren't aware about the Sustainable Development Goals. And the first step towards action is obviously raising awareness. From Vivian, we have writing articles. Yes, definitely. Again, informing people about the issues this world faces. And from Maria, we have, I would like to avoid plastic packaging and use eco-friendly packaging. Yes, definitely. That really comes under the local products use, and that's an excellent idea to implement.
If anybody else would like to say something and you don't really want to write in the chat, you could always use the raise your hand function, and then we'll see. We'll help. You'll be able to talk.
So we have a few more answers coming in. So from Manav, we have spreading awareness to eradicate forced labor. Yes, definitely. Again, that's an excellent idea to spread awareness about SDG 8. Then from Sophia, we have make fundraisers, workshops, etc. Definitely to support the NGOs in your local community and help achieve this SDG. And from Vivian, we have fundraisers in schools along with assemblies in schools and eco clubs. Yes, all of these are excellent ideas because again, all of these promote helping your community and contributing to an extremely great purpose. So seeing that now we don't have any more responses. Okay, we have one more from Vishnavi, spreading awareness to help give quality education. Yes, again, that's a brilliant idea. And stopping child labor. So now, now that we've received all of these amazing responses, all of these are great ideas. So we hope that you implement them in the future after attending this workshop. And now we'll move on.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone, for coming to this workshop. We hope you have enjoyed this session and that you have some food for thought. We'll now be proceeding to the Q&A session, and we'll be able to answer any of your questions related to the topics discussed today. Once again, thank you very much for attending.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maria and Tanisha, for this insightful session. Really made us aware on how the employment sector and economic growth, two very crucial factors of development, have been impacted by the pandemic, and how we as the youth can contribute towards advancing SDG 8. And definitely taking part in 100K would be a great way to do that. For questions, definitely participants, you can drop your questions in the chat box. We already have a few questions. I'm going to read it out, and you can probably answer them. John Allison asks, how can I as a youth help promote SDG 8?
Tanisha, would you like to take that question? Perhaps we could look back at the Act Now for SDG 8 part of the presentation.
Yes, definitely. So that's an excellent question, how you as the youth can promote SDG 8. So you can take action for this specific SDG by running many innovative campaigns, as well as just basic workshops to discuss the SDGs and spread awareness about them. Because obviously a lot of people, as I've said previously, are not aware about the Sustainable Development Goals and achieving them. And therefore, this is the first step that you as a youth can take. Furthermore, you can help by supporting the local businesses in your community rather than large MNCs and big industrial companies. You can also use more localized products rather than imported products. So all of these are amazing things that you can do as a youth. So I hope that answers your question, John.
Great answer. Thank you so much. We have another question. John again asks, what motivates you to participate in what motivates you to become a part of the 100K Deeds Challenge, and how could he join the 100K Deeds team?
Okay, so perhaps Tanisha, I could begin to answer this question, and if I miss something, you could jump in. Okay, so John, thank you very much for your interest in the 100K Deeds Challenge. If you visit our website, you'll be able to learn more information about what the challenge is. and fill in an interest form. From there, somebody from the team will get in touch with you so that you can maybe set up a meeting and see how you'd be able to join the team. Also, well, what's the motivation? Obviously, if you're here, you probably want to be informed about the SDGs and do something with the knowledge you have. So the 100K Deeds Challenge is a very good way to be able to take what you've learned and try to apply it in the real world. So, and alongside that, you can meet lots of other young people from around the world and make some really amazing friends. Tanisha, would you like to jump in?
Yes, definitely. So in terms of why I personally joined the 100K Deeds Challenge team, and first of all, I started off as a participant because the very basic motto and the vision of 100K Deeds Challenge really inspired me. That small impact, small actions that individuals like us can take in our daily lifestyle can have such a massive impact on a global scale when millions of people do it worldwide. So that was the basic kind of motivation that really inspired me to join this challenge and help contribute to a noble cause. And then the next step was I joined the leadership team because of its very vision and mission that really motivated me, and also to see the impact that you're causing along with so many millions of youth and adults around the world through that. So again, that was the main motivation for me, to seeing that impact and seeing that I can take action on such a small level, but yet contribute to such a big cause.
Great, thank you so much for that response. We have a couple more questions. One question asks, what role do you think social entrepreneurship plays in advancing SDG 8?
Tanisha, if you want, I can try and tackle this question. So, obviously, social entrepreneurship would be a great way to try and advance this SDG, because at the end of the day, the economy is a social domain, and you kind of rely on the actions of a lot of other people. So if you're interested in social entrepreneurship and you'd like to advance this SDG 8, obviously I don't see any reason why that couldn't be achieved, because as one of Tanisha did suggest that if you were interested in SDG 8, you might want to support different entrepreneurs with some innovative ideas. So obviously that would be a great way to try and advance SDG 8.
Yes, I definitely agree. I think social entrepreneurship plays a very major role in SDG 8 decent work and economic growth because of the fact that social enterprises come along in line with the decent work aspect, as well as promoting more local items rather than imported ones a lot, and also through as Maria already said, it promotes social domain of the economic growth aspect.
Great. On that very beautiful note, we have come to the end of this session. You can definitely reach out to Maria and Tanisha by joining the 100K Deeds team. Thank you so much to our presenters once again for taking time off to facilitate this incredible session. And to our wonderful participants, thank you so much for being so enthusiastic, patient, and interactive throughout the session. We really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this session, which I'm sure you did, head over to our website, events.munimpact.org, where you will find a list of all the workshops that we have lined up for today and tomorrow, and be sure to attend them. And if you need any help or assistance of any kind or have any queries about any of MUN I's programs, feel free to drop by the help desk, the link for which I will post it in the chat, so you can ask any queries that you have about our programs or any difficulties that you're facing. With that being said, thank you so much and have a great rest of your day and or evening, wherever you're from. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Hope you had a great informative session. Thank you, Maria and Tanisha, for such a beautiful and informative presentation. We really appreciate your time.
And also, just one last thing, if you join late, then you can definitely view the premiere recording of this session on YouTube, on MUN Impact's YouTube channel.
Yep, I think we can close the room.
Yep. Thank you so much, everyone. Great job today.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much, Manav. Thank you so much for covering up things.